Okay, so we see that Hira, which is the cave that Muhammad had his visions in the Quran. Now we see that Hira actually corresponds to Al-Hira, which is basically a place in South Central Iraq. It's not in Mecca. We see that Isa, which is the name of Jesus, actually corresponds to Nara Isa, which is a stream or a river that is near Anbar, which is basically close to Hira or Al-Hira. Now, the Kufic script. If you look at the Hadith, which the Hadith is basically writings that take place outside of the Quran, you already know this. Now, Kufic was developed in Al-Hira. It wasn't developed in Kufa or Al-Kufa. Now, it's an Islamic site called Islamic Awareness that talks about this and is talking about this particular subject, because a lot of Christians like to bring up the fact that Kufa, the language, wasn't in Al-Kufa, but it actually developed in Al-Hira. But this gives validity to what I'm saying, that before Muhammad, before this whole visions in the cave, we had an Al-Hira. There was no other Hira before that. This is where the name comes from. So this site is basically talking about the subject, and it's saying down here, it says Kufa or Basra did not start their careers in Muslim cities until the second decade of Islam, but these cities were located closer to Anbar and Hira in Iraq, Kufa being but a few miles south of Hira. Now, it says the city of Kufa therefore inherited and took on the script which was already prevailing in Hira. The script, as we have mentioned, became later to be called as Kufic. Now, this is all important because we know Hira or Al-Hira, and we know that Kufa or Al-Kufa, these places originally were Jewish, Christian. So you got to ask yourself, why would Islam, who we know strongly hates Christianity, why would they take something that is originally developed in Christian places, has its origin, its inception in Christian Judea places, and bring it to Islam? It's something that you really got to ask yourself, and we got to start looking at these names. So you're starting to see, as I said, these names that you are familiar with Islam are starting to correspond to early Jewish Christian places. Okay, so we see that Kufic, which is the script that the Hadith was written in, comes from Al-Hira, which is a place in South Central Iraq. We see that Al-Hira is a Christian Jewish place, and that was the religion of the people during that time. We also see that Kufa is the same name as basically the Kufic script. But what about the Hadith? Where does Hadith come from? Now, if you go to Iraq today, you'll find a Haditha. Now, some of these names are the same as I have said. But if you look at Haditha in this early language, you'll see it was pronounced Hadada, which is Aramaic or Syriac. And we know that Arabic comes from Syriac. But if you look at it today, if you actually Google the name Hadada, you see that it says Hadada or Haditha, which is basically Syriac, and in Arabic is Al-Hadith. So we know that they got the name Hadith from this place. But what you don't know about this place is it was Christian, it was Jewish. It says clearly, the city became renowned as a bishopric center of the Church of the East. That's that church that I shown you with the nun. Within the ecclesiastical province of Arabin. There existed also a substantial number of Jews, many of whom were converted to Christianity at the hands of its bishop Titus from Hadada in the 6th century. So there it is. It's basically backing up what I'm saying. It's telling you what's going on. But you would not know to look for stuff like this. Who knows to go look up this stuff? You just listen to what somebody tell you. They give you a book and they say this is this, this is that. But this is called research, what we're doing right now. When you're doing research and you look at it, you can see what's going on. But let's keep digging. Okay, so the Bible has chapters, and we know that the Quran has surahs. Now, if you look up Surah City, you'll find that Surah City is a place in Iraq, just like we've been finding everything else in Iraq. Now, you will also see that Surah City has a Surah Academy. Now, if we look at Surah Academy, we'll see Surah Academy was a Jewish yeshiva academy in Babylon, one of the two major Jewish academies along with the Pumadina Yeshiva Academy. Now, the person who started this whole place was a man, an Arab by the name of Abda Arika. Now, it says, when you look it up, it says he was a Jewish Talmudist who was born and lived in the Kafre Sissonet, Babylonia, known as an Amora of the 3rd century, who established at Sura the systemic study of the rabbinic traditions, which, using the Mishnah as text, led to the compilation of the Talmud, which we know is Jewish. Now, once again, you are starting to see all of the phrases and terminology that you know about Islam is going back to Jewish Christianity. You'll find this stuff everywhere. I can go through the whole Quran and we'll see that all of the things that you are familiar with this religion goes back to Judaism, Christianity. Now, the word Surah actually means beginning or start. And as you can see, these things are corresponding to pre-Islamic Judeo-Christian meanings. The word Quran itself is a Christian Judeo meaning. Quran does not mean recite like most Muslims believe it does. It means Pentateuch reader. If you take it back to its earliest language, the language that they spoke during that time, which was Syriac and Aramaic, it means Pentateuch reader. Now, it says here, some say Quran means recite. Not true. The word Quran means Pentateuch reader when you go where the word originally came from, Syriac. Here it says, in Syriac, the word Quran is written Quran, meaning Pentateuch reader. Now, the Pentateuch is basically the 5 books of Moses. It is Jewish religion. Quran also means lectionary. Take it back to Aramaic, Syriac, same thing. It means lectionary. Now, here's telling you, the book being a Syro-Aramaic lectionary with hymns and biblical extracts created for use in Christian services. Now, a lectionary is basically like the sermon that the deacon prepared for church. Now, if you go and look at the Syriac Orthodox Church in Antioch, that church I was showing you earlier, if you look at the duties of the deacons, they have 6 duties. If you look at the 4th duty, it says Korayo. It means reader. Korayo sounds like Quran to me. Reader. This is where this stuff is coming from. I don't know how much more proof I need to show you people, but I got a lot more. This is where this stuff is coming from. Now, you're going to have some Muslims say, well, we know that they believed in a lot of Christian things and that Christianity stole from Islam. Well, how is that possible when this religion came sooner? It was before. Now, I showed you before there was a split. It was a divide in the religion. Now, basically, the people who believed that Jesus was divine and human, they stayed with the Roman Catholic Church. They stayed with the Roman Empire and became Christians or Catholics later on. Everybody else went a different way. The people who went a different way, who didn't believe that Jesus was both divine and human, they are the people who are bringing about all these terms that I'm showing you. This Quran and all these terms that now correspond to Islam. This is where this stuff come from. It came from these people who are basically Jews. So if you want to kind of put the blame on somebody, we can see from the proof I'm showing you that obviously the religion of Islam came up out of Judaism more than Christianity. Now, I want y'all to take a look at this very old footage from the 1940s. This is from the Steven Spielberg Jewish Library. Now, the video basically documents the migration of Jews from southern Saudi Arabia. They're from Yemen. Now, we all know today that Yemen is hugely Islamic, but here is more proof of me showing you. As recently as the 1940s, it was populated with a large Jewish presence that was taken over by Islam. Now, take a look at the video footage.
This primitive fanatic land is ruled by a Muslim priest king called the Imam.
Now, notice he called the Imam an Islamic priest king. When have you ever heard of an Imam referred to as a priest king? Priest king. Now, pay attention. Look at the fez he's wearing. First, look at the beard. Notice the beard. Notice how long the beard is, just like Muslims keep their beards long. Notice his fez, his hat. Look at that hat. Where have you seen that fez before? You've seen it on Shriners. Shriners wear those same fezzes. And what is the logo on the Shriners fez? Look at it. It is the logo of Islam. The same logo. It's up there. They're trying to show you exactly where the stuff comes from, because in order for you to become a Shriner, you have to be at the highest level in Freemasonry. You have to be at 32 or 33 degree Freemasonry, and you have to be Muslim to become a Shriner. Remember, I was showing you in the video about Mike Brown and Trayvon Martin. If you look at Trayvon Martin's father, look at his picture. He is a Mason. Look at the beard, look at the hat that resembles the Shriner hat. They both resemble the hat that the Jewish man was wearing in the video. Okay, now let's get back to the video.
Even as it is written, on the wings of a brave, strange bird. Children of Yemen, hear me. As it stands written, so the day has come. Dance as King David danced when he beheld the tabernacle of the Torah. Sing our ancient songs, the songs of Saturn.
I want you to pay attention to these people. Look at these people. They are Arabs. They are Arab men and women. They come from Yemen, which is Saudi Arabia. See, people don't realize that life existed before they was born, and things was going on before you existed. You got to do research and look at history. What are all of these Jews doing in Saudi Arabia and Yemen? They were there before, way before Islam came about. Islam took over. Now, what is going on is this is the 40s. This is right after Islam was recognized as a state. So, the people who were running this whole thing are fulfilling Jewish prophecy, which is why in the video the man keeps talking about exactly like the Torah speaks of. You know, we're going to fly out of there back to the homeland on wings of gold and all this stuff like that. Listen to what he's talking about. He's talking about Jewish prophecy coming true. So for all these black so-called true Hebrew Israelites or true black Jews, if the Bible was talking about you being true Jews, black people, where the fuck were y'all? How come we're not finding y'all down in Saudi Arabia? These are Arabs they're speaking of. These are Jews. This is all bullshit. You have people trying to bring doctrine to life, false doctrine to life. That's all that's going on. Now, pay attention. Look at the way they dress. Does they look like the same Muslim clothes that they wear today? Look at the garb. Notice. Now I want you to listen carefully. Listen to the women. Listen to that call that they do. Listen. These are Jews doing that. That's Jewish people making those sounds. We always hear those sounds and we put it towards Islam. We always put it towards Arabs, and we put it towards Islam all the time. Here it is. This is proof showing you that these people were Jews. This is what they were. So, let's keep going. Okay, so when you start doing the research, you'll see between the time of 622 and 750 AD, the Arabs went on a conquering spree. They started conquering most of the Middle East. Now, during this time, this is during recorded history. This stuff is well documented. But during the early time of their conquest, there is no mention of a Muhammad or Islam or any of that. As a matter of fact, when you start doing the research, you'll see when they're describing what's going on, you'll see that the Jews were allowed to still go and worship. The Christians were still allowed to go and worship in these places that were newly conquered by these Arabs, because of course the Arabs were Jews and they were Christians, as I've shown you. Now, it wasn't until the late 7th century, so we're talking like around 690, 692, when Abdul Malik came and he conquered the Byzantine Empire in Syria. And when he did that, that's when things really start to change. That's when you start to see the true rise of Islam. Okay, now I want to go back to an earlier video because I want to make a point, and I think the video I did before this about Islam will prove that point a lot better, and I don't feel like doing it all over again for this video. And I will be deleting that video and uploading this video when it's done to take its place, because this one has way more proof, way more facts than my previous video. But I want you to go ahead and listen to these facts or these points I brought up in this previous video about Islam, and then I will build on that when it's over.